My thought process, and I know a lot of Bills fans will disagree with me on this, but I think that we would need this to solidify everything. We get the conference game, the wild card game, win that game, then Baltimore somehow comes here, beat them, and then we have to go on the road to Kansas City, win in Kansas City to get to the Super Bowl. And whoever we play in the Super Bowl at that point in time, I think most of America, most of the world, most of the universe hopes it's the Detroit Lions. Yeah. I think the momentum is building towards a Bills and Lions Super Bowl, but I think to really solidify and shut people up, we have to finish our story in the AFC in Kansas City.
It's an interesting perspective. I mean, it would be impressive because that has been their like crux in the playoffs, right? They just cannot beat KC and Kansas City. I like that perspective. I think it'd be great for Buffalo, the city of Buffalo. It would be wild if that happened in Orchard Park, but I think it would be a really big statement game if they went in Arrowhead and just smashed on Kansas City.
Yeah, now the NFL is posting that if the season ended today, these are the playoff things. So I was looking at the scenarios and thinking how it would work out to have Baltimore come here in the divisional round. We slap Lamar around like he should be slapped around, get them out of town. MVP talk ends at that point in time. And then, on to KC.
I think that Baltimore is the 6th seed right now, if I'm not mistaken. So on trajectory, they would go to Pittsburgh. I think you'd have to meet him in the conference.
Baltimore beat the Chargers, so they're ahead of them. They're 5, Chargers are 6, Denver's 7, I think.
Yeah, Denver's the last team right 7.
Now. And to be honest, with your team, there's a big matchup in 2 weeks. Denver plays the Colts.
Yes.
So that's the Colts season on the line, basically. Because if they lose that, you lose the tiebreaker. They're out of the playoffs.
They're pretty much out. They're 2 games back right now. I think Indy's banking on getting a win over Denver and Denver falling to KC again. I think they got a couple other tough matchups.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think this Indy team is ready yet. I find Denver more interesting in the playoffs. Their offense is cooking. Bo Nix is so good. Defensively, they're night and day better than they were last year. I would love to see Denver go head-to-head against Buffalo.
That'd be a great game.
Yeah. Well, if Buffalo maintains the 2 seed.
So right now we're looking at Denver 7, Baltimore 6, Los Angeles 5. Number 4 would be Houston, and number 3 would be the Steelers, and then number 2. I don't know why they have the Steelers with no logo on their helmet in this NFL graphic, and then the Bills would be number 2 if the season ended today.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's definitely and the thing is, like, depending on your perspective, either the really good thing about it or the really bad thing about it, 5 weeks left of football to be played. So many things can happen.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just root against the Dolphins. Let's just root that Aaron Rodgers and the Jets do not win another game this year and see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah. Casey's like begging for another loss, I feel. This is the most what are they, 11-1 team?
Yeah.
They should be like 500. Like, they should be 500 easily if you look back at a lot of the stuff.
And what's crazy about Kansas City is this year, which it looks like this could be the end of their run if we do knock them off, their division's going to get tough.
Yes.
For the next few years. San Diego's a problem with is it Jim Harbaugh?
Yes.
Jim Harbaugh. With Justin Herbert together. Denver's a problem now. Oakland's going to tank out and get maybe Shadur Sanders, or they'll be better. So Kansas City's going to be in a dogfight for the division every year. You look at the Bills, we're set up really nice. I mean, who's going to be a threat to us in the next couple of years?
Here's another thought that I have about Kansas City. We're all wrestling guys in this room. Yeah. Is Kansas City, quote unquote, playing possum until the playoffs, and then you just see this barrage of offense? Chris Jones goes crazy, starts flipping over offensive linemen and destroying quarterbacks. Are they playing possum? Does Andy Reid is Andy Reid just playing with people at this point is what I'm saying?
That's a common topic on First Things First with Nick Wright on Fox Sports. He's a Chiefs fan, and he says the Chiefs are essentially practicing during the regular season, getting all this stuff out, and they'll figure it out in the playoffs. It worked last year. I think it's going to come back to bite them. I don't think you can keep this luck going for that many games. You eventually have to put teams away.
It definitely feels like luck. I mean, I just sat there with my jaw dropped on Friday at the end of that Raiders-Chiefs game. I'm like, are you kidding me? Only this team, only the Chiefs could get away with something like that. Raiders marching down. Aiden O'Connell is moving the ball, and then some weird botch snap, fumble, false start. I don't know what happened. And the Raiders would have won. And it's infuriating. It's infuriating. And there's been so many other instances, too. I think the fact that Carolina took them to just about overtime.
Almost, yeah. Second field goal.
2 weeks ago, it speaks. This isn't practice. There's something wrong with, like, they have a cakewalk first place schedule. I think that they've pretty much taken advantage of.
If you want to listen, I'm sorry, this is just me. I need to go off on the Chiefs. If you want to talk about their run to the Super Bowl last year, they got a home playoff game against Miami in the first round, and we know how Miami deals with cold temperatures. That was a cakewalk. They played against a Bills third-string defense and had a missed field goal that could have tied the game, so they lucked out there, and then they went up against Lamar Jackson, who we know can't perform in the playoffs. Yeah. So it was pretty nice, smooth ride to the Super Bowl last year for the Chiefs. They did beat the Niners, congrats, but this ends this year.
So I'm not even sure if I should ask this question in this room then.
Go ahead. I'll be unbiased.
With the responses that I just got, do the Chiefs deserve the hate that they get?
It's weird thinking like 5-6 years ago. I was like, oh wow, KC, they're turning a corner, right? How great things are. I think maybe not KC directly, but I feel like the NFL has propped them up to be like this new face. Like, you're tuning in because you want to see people knock them off, right? Or you're tuning in. I wouldn't have watched Raiders and Chiefs under any normal circumstance. I don't care. But the idea that maybe the Raiders can pull something off here, like that, it gets the viewers. Like, I don't know, and I understand they're great. So you want it, social media, prop them up, yada yada yada. But there's just too much questionable stuff that surrounds some of their refereeing choices and other things. It's just baffling.
Yeah, I mean, we could have a whole segment on what I think about the Kansas City Chiefs. Kind of got turned the wrong way when Patrick Mahomes showcased his issues when we beat him in the regular season last year in Kansas City over that call. Just a poor sportsmanship. Say what you want about Josh Allen. That guy is classy as hell. He says the right things. He handles the media the right way. Like, Patrick Mahomes, just a sore loser with that situation. They've had their time. They've won. I'm a big fan of Andy Reid. Love the guy. Like, happy he had his moment. It's time for somebody else to step up and take the attention away from them, and I think the Bills can do that.
Here's my argument, and Connor, you can sympathize with me on this one because you're a Bills fan as well. Living through the years where the New England Patriots would beat the Bills twice a year, destroy the Bills, just embarrass the Bills, win everything they could possibly win, we went through and absolutely despised Tom Brady. We despised Bill Belichick. We despised Julian Edelman. We despised Rob Gronkowski. We despised, Rodney Harrison. We despised, give me some help here, Teddy Bruschi. Who else do we despise from the New England Patriots?
Oh, God, where do we start?
The Water Boy, the Ball Boy.
Robert Kraft. I don't know if you mentioned him.
Robert, yeah. I mean, he had his own little thing going on there, literally and figuratively. And now I look back, and I really appreciate and respect what Tom Brady has done with himself in broadcasting. I love the fact that Bill Belichick is getting himself out there now as an analyst. Yeah. And I look back and say to myself, that's not their fault that the Bills were terrible, the Jets were terrible, the Miami Dolphins were terrible.
I fully agree, yeah.
They were just they were doing what we're doing now, the Bills in the AFC East. And, I can go back even further and talk about the Bills-the-Dolphins rivalry. The Bills would get destroyed by the Dolphins, and Jim Kelly came around, Thurman Thomas came around, then we dominated the Dolphins. And it's just era after era that you kind of take a look back at and appreciate it now that you're out of that. I mean, if we were, 2-14 this season, maybe I can't look back and say, I can respect what the Patriots did. Maybe I'll be like, I cannot believe I am still spending a dime to watch this football team and spending a valuable Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening or Thursday night or sometimes Wednesday afternoon, depending on the pandemic situation, to, support this team.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I think maybe someday we'll look back and we'll be like, oh, it wasn't so bad. We're out of it.